Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Podcasts and Players. Today, I have the one and only. You know him. You love him. He wahoos through your life, going through warp pipes. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Wait, no. My bad. That was the wrong Mario. We have a different Mario here with us tonight. We've got Mario_Sack, or just Mariosack, on YouTube and Twitter. Give it up for Mario! Mario, Mario, you are an artist who does commission work, and you've recently gotten into D&D animations. Is that correct?
Yeah. No, I've been drawing for... Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I watched your D&D animations today before the podcast, and they're very funny.
Oh, thank you.
I liked your latest one the best, I think.
Oh, really? All right. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. You were gonna say. Let's hear a little bit about your lore.
Oh, my funny lore. Yeah. Well, I mostly have done art for like a really long time. I've haven't taken it seriously until somewhat recently, I would say. Yeah, I've been doing pretty well with it. And animation is also something that I've done super recently. Like, I want to say I would do dumb little things here and there. There's like an option in the program that I use to do small animations. It's not like I have the version for specifically animating.
Right.
But I would do like little stuff here and there, just messing around with it. And it wasn't until recently that I ended up getting into just full-on making videos. So that's been kind of fun, honestly. It's neat to get into. I really enjoy getting into different mediums of stuff. I don't know. I tend to really like working with my hands, and I take to stuff like this pretty quickly. So yeah, it's been pretty interesting. I've actually been working on something today. Working on a new video. Yeah.
Oh, 4 hours ago, you also posted this man in a white mask.
Oh, which?
With I'm on your Twitter.
Oh, right. Yes.
I'm like scrolling through your Twitter and liking your shit while you're giving me your
thank you.
your history here. Yeah, like, you're a very talented artist. I'm not surprised that you're doing well with like commission work, and it's nice to see another person get into animation, even if it's just like short stuff, nothing too serious or anything.
Oh yeah.
I also like that you use a lot of color in yours. That's a little uncommon. I don't see that too often.
Honestly, because it's funny, because I used to be really bad at painting. I've gotten a lot better with it. Originally, when I would do traditional work before I started doing digital, I was really into cross-hatching. You can still even sometimes see it in some of the stuff that I'll do, where there will be certain techniques or way that I display texture that comes from that. But I used to just work with ink. Like, I would do inking style stuff and just heavy cross-hatch work.
Right.
And I don't know, when I started to get into... I would say the main thing that probably influenced me to be super vibrant and really imposing with my color is, I think an artist that has had a lot of influence on me is... I really like Hirohiko Araki. I don't know if you're like familiar with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, I am familiar with it. I don't watch it, but... Yeah, I know that art style.
Yeah, it's very... It's something that's influenced me to want to take very dynamic poses with things, make these very colorful, like, kind of just choices in general. I like it being vibrant. Even in dark kind of areas, I like to have an excuse to throw some color in there. It helps things pop. It makes it, like, eye-catching.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch JoJo's. And I think it's because I don't. I think it's a little ugly, but
that's fair. That's
yeah. But on the flip side, it's also very much performative. The way that everything's drawn, it's like the characters are performing for you, the audience, even though they in their world everything like that's happening is real. Or the fact that they're so like extra with how they do everything is like it feels like a stage play in a way.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what it was when I first looked at it, but there's something about the super exaggeratedness about everything, just in general with the series, and I was like, I want to be able to draw like this. And the artist is really interesting with their stuff, because if you look at the whole thing with Jojo is as it progresses, there's different generations of characters. It doesn't follow like Jojo is not one guy. Jojo is, I think at this point, 8 different people.
Oh, it's not just Jotaro. I thought it was a guy named Jotaro or something.
So it starts off with Jonathan Joestar. The second part, Battle Tendency, is Joseph Joestar. Joseph Joestar's daughter gives birth to Jotaro Kujo. From there, that is Josuke Higashikata. Then Giorno Giovanni. The list goes on. They're different. They're all like different people, different chapters, different like stories. It's really neat to see the progression of the art style, because the art style changes a ton. Like some of his really recent stuff is massively different in appearance to some of the old stuff. There's still that they still carry on similar traits, like it's still super exaggerated, and there's that same poppy kind of color look to it, but yeah.
It's got a high contrast comic book type of
super
shading, I think is what you're trying to touch on.
It's very Western inspired, I want to say too. Like there's some, especially with the naming conventions, but a lot of things are named after Western music.
I will say I think it's refreshing that it's like very much like super focused on people with lots of muscles.
Oh yeah.
Whereas like when I see Western comics, like the superheroes have lots of muscles, but then like the dudes that draw Western comics are fucking perverts. Like they just love drawing women.
Oh,
like super skimpy outfits, always got their butts out, like they're like it's presenting for somebody or something. It's like, okay, I don't know. It's one of the reasons why I never got into Western comics. It's just because like, you can kind of sense like there's this weird. Women aren't really people in those comics. Women are damsels. They're like a different class of person. They don't count. Yeah. You know, I mean, they would never say that. That's just how it feels to me. It feels like they don't actually respect women. And then like, I don't know about JoJo's, but like, I think it feels like there just aren't women. It's like, we just want big, hunky men all the time. Women, that's it.
There's women in JoJo. The funny thing about
I'm sure there are. I just haven't really, I don't know what they look like because I've only seen the guys.
One of them, I think it's the next part that's going to get animated. Yeah, it is. The next part that's going to get animated is it follows the daughter of Jotaro Kujo, and she has like the people that are joining her, or I think the team composes of 2 dudes, and along with Joylene, it's 2 girls that are with her, so it's majority like women as the main characters.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking now. There's quite a few. I don't know why I haven't seen. I don't recognize any of them.
Well,
all the JoJo stuff, it's always like the dude going licking the thing, it's the guy with the hat.
It's funny
it's the
too,
memes,
because as it progresses, it's a lot less just buff dudes, which as an artist, one of my favorite things to draw is muscle, mostly because I find it very. There's an interesting thing about it. There's something fun about all the detail, and I tend to be very detail oriented. So being able to draw muscle and stuff like that's fun to me. And later on, a lot of the guys start to shrink down a ton. I think the newest dude is pretty slim. You see that with Giorno Giovanni, who is the first kind of just slim dude, kind of more athletic build, rather than like these other dudes that are fucking they're
bodybuilders essentially. I mean, it leans into its stylized thing. I also noticed that like lots of interesting like lipstick colors I've noticed.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff with the fact that a lot of the males in there have very feminine kind of traits thrown onto them, like this big bad vampire dude that they fight in part 3, Dio. He's got like these taller in the back shoes, this green lipstick on, he's got some makeup on, he's got jewelry on him. There's in part 2, the main character fights these 3 Mayan bodybuilders and also very covered in makeup, lots of lipstick, long hair, very feminine looking kind of dudes. But there's something, I don't know, it works with the general look of it. There's something
it hits on something. It's like it's not for me still, but like I'm seeing that fine. Like this resonates with a lot of people, and it's I can see I'm like trying to like dissect it in the moment here. Like I see why this is resonant. You know what it kind of reminds me of a little bit? I don't know if you've ever seen Fist of the North Star.
Yes. Okay. So Fist of the North Star is a huge influence on part 1, and it after part 1 it starts breaking off and being its own thing, but it's straight up it's very like glam rock Fist of the North Star.
Glam rock. That's such a good way to describe it. Yeah, exactly. Damn, you really nailed it with that one. Glam rock. Like John Joestar just looks like Kentaro or whoever.
Yeah, he's very. I'm pretty sure the author himself has come out and said, "Oh yeah, that was a big influence on it originally."
It also kind of looks like Guts or whoever from.
Oh, from Berserk.
What's it? Berserk. Yeah, they all have a very similar aesthetic. I've noticed.
I think it's just the fact that they're yoked dudes.
Well, no, they got spiky short hair too.
Oh yeah.
And then really, I don't know, and they're the good guys, but they look like they could be bad guys.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh yeah.
Like the main character in Berserk looks like a bad guy, but they like to draw him looking super introspective and sad and stuff, and see, he's a good guy.
He's a gentle soul on the inside.
But if he was, the armor he wears, and if they just had him if there was a general telling him to go massacre some people or whatever, he'd be like, oh yeah, he's a bad guy. Easy, obviously that makes a bad guy by definition, but I wouldn't question it. I wouldn't think, oh, that guy's a bad guy? No, I'd be like, yeah,
no,
of course
that
he is.
guy, no. The guy, pointy as fuck, covered in spikes.
Whose sword is bigger than his body? Oh, no, he's
he's there's blood gushing out of the mask that he's wearing, and he's, nah, that guy? Nah.
And so,
Berserk is also another one that I really love the art style of that. It's very detailed, very, I don't know, it's a lot of the pages are very inspirational.
Yeah, I've read a little bit, just a little bit, because when the guy died, it was on my radar beforehand, but then it got super on my radar because everyone was talking about it. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a little whirl, and I kind of looked at some of the earlier panels and stuff, and then I looked at some of the later ones, and what he does consistently throughout its history is he has these amazing establishing shots. There's so much detail. You see huge landscapes, cityscapes, all sorts of stuff. Weird camera angles and panels that will span the whole 2 pages or whatever.
Yeah.
And have somebody framed in a certain cinematic way, gazing up on or down upon something. Very grandiose.
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking of. Grandiose.
Yeah, and it's very cool, and it's absolutely like takes a lot of effort, and I like it. I just I don't know. There's something about these styles that just maybe it's because I don't resonate with big muscly dudes. Maybe that's all it is.
Oh, that's fair.
I'm a skinny piece of shit, so I'm like I don't relate.
I guess in that same regard, that might also be like with me. I'm kind of like a bigger kind of dude. I'm a bit more broad-shouldered, and it's like one of those. I feel like growing up when I would see stuff like that, that would be the allure. Is like, this guy's so cool. I want to be like this guy. But I totally get that. Like, if it doesn't click with you, it doesn't click with you.
I think what the appeal, at least for like, it's not that I don't ever watch people with like muscles and shit. I'm not like anti-muscly dudes. It's more just like there's got to be some sort of, these guys are like ultimate tough guys too, which makes them feel not real at all. Or like posers. Like they're like, I feel like John Joestar and all these dudes, like the personality quirk is I'm a tough muscly guy who fights bad guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's his personality.
I do get what you mean. It's funny because Jonathan, the first guy, he's not really like that. He's more like he's kind of that himbo archetype where he's very kind-hearted, big muscular guy, he's not really like settling everything with his fists, or if he does, he literally makes a friend out of a guy that attacks him because he's like, wow, you did this big heroic thing. I like tried to full on assault you and you're just this good guy. You know what? I'm not even going to fight you anymore. You know, you're cool. I just like you. And it's kind of, it's odd, but everybody has their own kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
But I think the guy after that's more like, he's more of a cocky dude. His whole thing is he relies more on bullshitting his way through stuff. And, well, not bullshitting it, but he's supposed to be this tactical genius. And it's like, he's really good at fucking with people, catching them off guard. And then like Jotaro is that archetype. Jotaro is straight up just like, I'm tough as fuck and I'm gonna kick your ass.
Have you ever seen, now that we're talking about like fighting animes and stuff, have you ever seen Kenichi Mightiest Disciple, or? That
sounds familiar. What is it?
It's an anime that came out a little while back,
Kenichi?
from a few years ago, but it's this kid who has no propensity or skill for martial arts. He's just a lame kind of, standard anime protagonist, like a soft boy, you could say. But then he like stumbles upon a dojo running away from some bullies, and the dojo has like 7 martial arts masters, and they can't keep any pupils for whatever reason. But then they see that this kid who has 0 aptitude for martial arts, they're like, this is our greatest project yet. If we turn him into a master of all 7 forms, then we could claim to be the best teachers in the world, or something like that. Some sort of like ego thing. Like and also they were in a contest with each other to get him to choose one of their schools. So they all wanted. So there's like a Kempo, Muay Thai, weapons master, karate, jiu-jitsu, all sorts of different like martial arts. Each of one of them has like a thing. And so throughout the thing, you see him struggle with his basically having no real innate like skills or strength or whatever, trying to fight like bullies who are just taller and stronger and have been in way more scraps than him. Yeah. Basically, they would kick his ass, and then he's got these like techniques to just give him just enough of like an edge in the fight to like not be fucking destroyed and actually be able to hold his own, or even like beat the guy. But like at great like he gets his ass whipped every time, but he's like doing it, somehow he's like actually managing it. And then and so it's like it's fun to kind of watch that journey. and his parents don't know where he's going. They think he's going to some after school thing or whatever.
Comes home, the shit beaten out of him.
Yeah, his dad. Oh, there's a bit that his dad does. He's got a shotgun in the wall that he named Sebastian, and in the English dub, there's like, when he thinks that like his son is being bullied, he goes, "Bully is what it looks like. It's up to me and my old friend Sebastian." He puts like a key code into a wall, and the wall opens up. This fucking shotgun comes out. "We'll take care of this problem like we did the squirrels in the backyard." and then the mom like hits him with a frying pan or whatever. It says no guns. But like that's like a recurring theme is the dad keeps thinking he's gonna have to actually open fire on these bullies. But
maybe next time I'll be able to, kill these kids, but not today.
Yeah, exactly. It's very fun though. I mean, that one's good. There's another one that I can't quite remember the name of it. It was a manga that was like a karate manga where like the main character Minoru is this like gymnast, and he realizes that he's not the best gymnast like the girl that he like his childhood friend. Mm-hmm. She's a gymnast too, but she's like way better. And then he like runs into this Jotaro dude wearing a mask essentially, who like helps like defend him against some bullies or whatever, but he's sort of like a tough guy and thinks like, "Oh, you're a wimp, you should come to our dojo," and like kidnaps him essentially, kidnaps the main character and sort of like forces him to learn karate. I don't know, man. There's a lot of, now that I'm thinking about it, these are just the two that are on the top of my mind, and the more I think about it, the more like, well, there was that one. Oh, and there was that one too. Oh shit. It's almost like Japan really likes this genre or something.
Yeah. It's I mean, I can see the appeal for sure. It's a pretty common one.
Yeah, I mean, I like seeing people grow. I think is the main thing. What maybe is that something you see a lot in JoJo's? Do people grow? Or is everyone just sort of already like really tough and cool?
I would probably say the only one that is ever like off the start the coolest, like it is probably Jotaro. Jotaro, his whole thing is literally, I'm just gonna beat it up, and my ability just turned out to be really strong. And it's not until the end when Dio shows up, he shows up and he's like, "My stand is actually stronger than yours." And Jotaro's like, "Oh shit." And they also realize that they both have the same stand ability, which is stopping time. But yeah, Jotaro starts off just like really strong. Everybody else does have some kind of progression thing. I know. Yeah, everyone has to eventually learn some power or some ability in order to conquer their trials or try to figure stuff out. I think my favorite part is part 4, and I don't really think that there is a huge journey arc thing like that. But it's mostly because the story revolves around a sleepy kind of town, and it's a bit of a mystery murder type thing, where they're trying to stop a guy that has caused a bunch. He's a stand user. He's caused a bunch of murders, and they can't find him. And the story starts to follow this guy this high school guy that lives there. And Jotaro is also in this one too. He shows up and alerts. He's actually the bastard son of the second part protagonist.
Okay, I was gonna say there's like a lineage here, right?
Yes, it is a lineage. They are all Joestars, or they come from the Joestar family line, and they all have these Joestar birthmark.
So Jotaro's kind of like a rich kid snob, like my father.
Not really. Jotaro actually had a really bad upbringing. His father left his family as a kid, and he only has his mom. And that's actually the big reason why they go on the journey is his mom is dying. And the only way to save her, because, again, family line connection thing, when Dio activates his stand ability, it somehow triggers a thing that causes other people in their lineage to get stands. And if you're too weak, the stand would start to overpower and kind of consume you. And that's what was happening to his mom. And the only way that they were able to figure out how to stop it was they had to kill Dio. And the only reason it triggered with Dio was this other weird thing, which was Dio, using his weird vampire powers, was able to... Dio lost his body when he fought Jonathan. So what he did was he killed Jonathan, sliced off his head, and took over his body. So now he has Jonathan's body. And this stand connection thing activated because it triggered in him while he was taking control of Jonathan's corpse torso.
I see.
It's a bizarre adventure, I have to say.
Also, yeah, listeners, if you're like, man, they're talking about Jojo for a long time. Sorry, I'm just curious because I've never seen it. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it, but
so D&D. No.
I do think I just think it's interesting. But a little for the sake of people who are just not into anime or JoJo's, we can move it along. Let's actually talk a bit about D&D. How'd you get started with the hobby?
I actually found out about it a real long time ago where I think I was like in middle school when I heard about it. And I heard about it through a podcast that I was listening to where a guy made offhand mention of some D&D stuff where he was like, oh yeah, I was playing D&D with friends, and they lightly described some story and they moved on, but it stuck with me in my head and I was like, that sounds like a lot of fun. And I kind of knew what it was, but I just connected it with it being that a weird nerdy thing. So I never brought it up to any actual friends. I was never like, would you guys want to play D&D? Because I was just like, nah, they're going to make fun of me. So if anything, I knew about it in secret and I started to look into it. At some point, I started listening to some D&D podcasts that got me to, by osmosis, slowly learn how it worked. And way, way later, eventually some friends that I knew brought it up in passing, and they're like, oh yeah, I've been playing D&D with some friends. And I was like, you play D&D? And at some point they invited me. We finally got like some sessions in, and then from there, nobody really wanted to play D&D as much as I did. So that also is why I tend to be the DM for stuff, because it caused me to take on the mantle where it's just like, right, fuck it, if no one wants to DM, I'll do it. I want to play.
It's the person who wants to play the most ends up not playing because they get their friends into it, and so they have to DM, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. There's a funny thing with that where I honestly feel like when I really think about it, I sometimes like being the DM more than being the player. I like being able to have... I think it's just because something about when I'm in the DM seat, it really clicks with me and gets me motivated to do other stuff. Like, whenever I've DM'd, I'm super into getting cool visual stuff for the players. And it's not necessarily, or when I say for the players, it's not necessarily for the players. It's more for me getting hyped up on my own, like getting hyped up on player ideas or my ideas. I think one of the coolest things to me is when I started a game with some friends and they were kind of shy about getting started. And as we were talking, I just started sketching up their characters, and I'm like, what does your character look like? And they're just like, maybe like this or like this. And I'll start sketching something up. I'll show it to them. They're like, oh, well, actually, could you change it to be like this? And I'll get these drawings done of their characters, and everyone's all hyped up now because they have like actual visual representation of what they look like.
Right, yeah. I used to do that too all the time. I still kind of do, actually. There's been a few campaigns I've been in that I told my players, I say my players, I was a player in these two. I told the players, the other ones, that I would draw the whole party. And it's on my to-do list of things to do, but drawing several specific designed characters that don't have an already existing design is hard. And then
definitely,
like, doing it several times in a row for different groups is really hard. It's a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
And so I'm like, I just haven't done it. I've got all the descriptions of all these characters that I want to draw eventually at some point. But like, I'm waiting for, I don't know, to feel like I actually can devote some time to it. I feel like lately I've been trying to focus on other stuff.
I feel like it sometimes depends on the group how difficult some of those can be. Because I remember usually a lot of players don't entirely know what they want. So they'll give me this vague concept and I'll start putting something together. And it's more like a bit more of a grounded design. There's neat elements that'll just pop up where it's like, oh, I think I'll look at their starting equipment. I'll give them they have their pack on. I kind of put on if he has a bear trap dangling from the side, you could see it all strapped up, and players get really hyped about that. But the thing that really blows the wind out of my sails is when the guy comes in with his JRPG character covered in belts, this very specific high detail design, or it's just like, man, I really don't feel like drawing that.
Yeah, I've seen that more than a few times. Anime has that effect. I mean, I don't want to say it's bad.
And it's not. Yeah, it's not to. I'm not gonna tell anybody oh, that's just an inherently bad design. It's just in this specific.
I'm more concerned with personality. If they're just lone wolf, I don't want to play with the party. It's why are you playing D&D? Go fucking play Final Fantasy or something. I don't know. It seems like you're not really. Some people they're tryhards, right? They try too hard to be edgy with their character, and it's that's not really what this is. That's not what we're about here. We're about working together. You can have a dark, brooding past. You could make a character really angry and not want to talk about it. That's fine. That's character traits that are interesting. But if that never changes and you never develop your character to open up to anybody in the party, even though that they've all tried in some way and your character just stays that way the whole time, it's well, that's a lot less interesting.
Yeah.
That makes your character just sort of a one-note thing. I kind of want to see more from them. I want to see them develop. I want to see them open up a little. I just finished a campaign, actually. And I was playing a character. Her backstory. I can actually say the whole thing now because all the players have we finished. So it's all out there now.
Don't have that fear of letting something out.
Yeah. She had a very terrible backstory where she lived on this frontier town, and by frontier town I mean in the woods, in the wilds, essentially, on the edge of civilization. And it had it was this village more than anything else with this old ancient tree in the center, this big ass tree, and they had some people living up in the treetops as well as at the base. Where this village was, there was elves that were monks who defended and hunted for the monk rangers, essentially, that were the security. And then you had some scholars and priests and other just woodsy people all kind of working together. And that was her hometown. Sproutfall was what it was called. And in comes 3 bad dudes and an army of undead out of fucking nowhere. Randy Orton, slithering along out of nowhere, RKO'd the town. Just murdered, slaughtered everybody, women, children, didn't matter. My character was, I think, 9 years old and hid in a pile of dead bodies.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and they had undead beasts that were sniffing out survivors and like eating them and just fucking destroying them. And she got her legs bitten off and she had to not cry out in pain. She had to hold in the pain to not be detected. And the thing then was like called off to go somewhere else. And so she was able to crawl away from the burning village. And then they set the whole forest on fire with like a magic fire that spreads really fast and can't be put out by rain or water.
Mm-hmm.
So she did like a tourniquet on her legs, crawled as fast as she could to the river and just let it take her, and somehow survived, even though every trace of her village was destroyed.
Yeah.
Her family gone, all the adults in her life gone, her siblings gone, everybody that she ever knew and loved, and all that was left is this charred black blight of a place that used to be a forest. It was like almost the fire was so complete that the only remnant of a tree that is still visible is that ancient old tree, and she like crawls back through the ashes into the still warm, hollowed out ashes of the tree and basically commits herself to dying there.
Yeah.
And the god Nylia, this is a Theros world, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Goddess Nylia gives her new legs from the charred bark of the tree. They like graft onto her, and the kind of like Ghost of Sparta, the ashes cover her skin and give her this like very dark gray complexion.
That's really cool.
She was just like a human before. And her hair becomes a stark white. She almost looks like a drow, but there's no elves in this world.
Yeah.
And she basically carves her own mask to hide her identity and sets out on a journey for revenge to find the three guys that murdered her family and stole her life from her. And so we got Edge Girl here, everybody. Sound the alarm. Red alert. We have an edgy girl with a tragic backstory. She's softened a little bit because I wrote this backstory alongside my friend who played this satyr named Ollie, who was like a follower of Nylia, and he was like a surrogate adoptive like brother, and so they like traveled together, and like he was like they took care of each other and stuff, but she was still very edgy, wouldn't talk about where she came from, wouldn't talk about why she always wears a mask and why she's always moody and grumpy, but she becomes like an ace shot, a sharpshooter, right? And the way that it sort of goes on, I mean, I multi-classed the hell out of her. She became a swarm keeper ranger, so she had like pixies or fairies or whatever, like a swarm that like covered her like flowers. They look, when they're not moving, they look stationary like flowers. And because she's got her like tree legs and her a really dark gray complexion, she looks like some sort of plant if she stays still with her mask.
Yeah.
So and her like tuft of hair on her head. So she almost like has this natural camouflage that makes her look almost like a dryad with these pixies. And then she's got the monk levels and all sorts of. And I think I gave her a druid level or something. But we find this gatehouse that's near the edge of this big forest. That's actually maybe like 40 miles away from where her village used to be. And it's been overrun. This gatehouse has been overrun by undead. And she's a ranger. Her favorite enemy is obviously undead after what happened to her. So she's fucking taking these things out. They get to the top level of this gatehouse. And there he is. One of the fucking necromancers that ruined her life. And he does, and I remember my DM, he was new to DMing, and he does this thing where he's like, he turns around and says, well. And I'm like, I shoot him in the chest with an arrow. And he's like, really? You're not gonna let him monologue? Like, I'm killing him. He's dying.
Yeah.
And so, I nailed him, did a fuck ton of damage, but used another, I think I had some other action or a way of doing another arrow as a bonus action or something like that. I can't remember how I did it, but I fucking hit him again. And then we rolled initiative. I won initiative because I was using Revised Ranger, so I had advantage on initiative rolls. So I hit him again. Boom. And he's like, oh, okay. Next is Ganthar, the centaur fighter, who gallops up to him, hits him, action surges, hits him again, knocks his ass out before he could pop off one spell or give us a monologue. He was gonna fireball us, by the way. And we made it so that because of the ashes on me, by the name, my character's name was Ash. By the way, not by the name. That was her name. She had disadvantage on any dex saves made to avoid fire damage. So she'd always catch on fire if
catch him.
Yeah, I would catch her. I gotcha. I see where I was.
No, I know. I'm keep going.
No worries. But she basically marches up calmly. There's skeletons in the room, so everyone's fixing to fight those. She does it. She marches up, loads a bow, hits him in the chest while he's down for 2 more death saves, stands above him, knocks another fucking arrow in her bow, finishing blow to the fucking face. Like, cold-blooded execution.
I like how this guy is straight up, how fitting, or it's just, this guy walks up, and it's like, wait.
Wait. Would you want to know what your brother? Ah!
No, wait.
Yeah, it was, my DM was kind of upset because he's like, I had this whole monologue planned and he was going to do fireball. It was really cool. But I'm like, I know I ruined your moment, but I made my own moment, and I'm very happy I got to fucking kill this bastard without him even being able to do that shit. But we went from that, where everyone started to realize Ash has some fucking issues. Because she wouldn't elaborate why she killed this guy, other than he was a bastard. That's all she would say about it.
Yeah.
But eventually she did start to open up, because like she realized like these people that she's traveling with are her friends, and they care about her. And like she doesn't have to be so closed off all the time. She doesn't have to be so upset. The fact that after all these years of training and hunting, she finally got one of the 3 gave her hope. I know revenge is like not supposed to make you happy, but in her case, it was like, this was what softened her edge, actually. By exacting revenge and having friends, it allowed her hope to understand, like, I'm moving towards something better than where I came from. And I will never forget the faces and names of all the people that lived in my village. And I will never forget all the stories and personality quirks and all their voices and so the things that they would say to me when I was a kid. I'll never forget any of that. At the same time, she was like, I think I can also live for my future too. I don't have to be a ghost of the past. I can also kind of live for me. And so she kind of divulged some of her stuff. And during the final battle where we fought a god who turned into like a adult gold dragon, and like was pretty cool and pretty tough. I got tail swiped in the face, and so I flavored it as her mask breaks off and everyone sees her face for the first time. And like she's not like scrambling to put her mask back on. She's trying to kill the dragon, and afterwards she puts the mask on for comfort more than anything else. But like, isn't trying to hide her face anymore. Isn't like worried about her friends knowing what she looks like or anything. You know, and like, is that a lot of harkening back? I just wanted to share the story, but also harkening back to the point of edgy characters developing, right? This isn't the most development. It's okay. No. It's like a decent amount, but that's all that you need.
It fits the story. It's like this. If anything, I think the issue that starts to come with those super edgelord characters that never change is they end up playing this weird caricature of what they think is this like cool guy type lone wolf thing. So they want to hardcore stick to that, and that's what sometimes makes it doesn't, I guess it doesn't necessarily make it an issue, but it just makes a character really boring because they just don't seem to change. Like nothing seems to, if they're not allowing the other people at the table to kind of add some influence to stuff that's going on. Well, because it's not like you're supposed to And it's not like people will have control over or should have control over your character in that kind of way. But it just feels unrealistic almost.
Yeah, I think it is. I think also most lone wolf characters, unless you're also the person playing them is also like a metagamer. Or not a metagamer, but like I'm sorry, I meant min-maxing like a power gamer. That's the word.
Okay.
They're not going to be able to survive on their own anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And so they need help. And like the thing with like Ash, she was a very powerful glass cannon. If she could get in position, she could take out the most problematic person in a fight really fast because of sharpshooter, and she had some other feats and stuff. Even as a human, we gave her a boon, like a god boon that you start with in Theros, that basically gave her elven accuracy as a feat. In addition to, I think I took Wood Elf Heritage too, so I had like Long Strider and Pass Without Trace that I could cast once per day. And so I had all this shit where I could really speedily get up into position. I could like use Step of the Wind.
Yeah.
And then the Ranger jump spell to like jump 6 times. I mean, you remember the Easter game in Tall Tales, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a formula. I can recreate that formula again and again, and I love to do it because I like being able to jump really high. But like she was like that too, where her legs were like shaped like grasshopper legs, these bark legs, or whatever, and could like spring her up to the top of a tree, and then she could just fucking pew, 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 like rapid fire shot somebody to death.
Yeah,
you know,
that's super cool.
That's really cool, but she still knew she needed help, and because I wrote her edgy backstory alongside being like sort of having found family with this other very sociable satyr named Ollie, it was like, because they were a pair, it made it easier for them, or for her, to like integrate with the group. Because otherwise she did actually want to just not go into towns and just like camp out in the woods whenever we got to a town. She's like, I'm just going to be out in the woods. And like other characters also were woodsy and would like join her and stuff. And so we might have like a town group and a woods group or whatever. But like we would always have a rendezvous point. And so we like that kind of worked out. I guess what I'm trying to say is, people, if you're going to do characters that like want to do their own thing and be independent in ways, that's cool. But you also gotta read the room, read the group, and try to like not run away from group activities, or like just try to like be alone. Like if someone wants to join you, for example, like when I was camping, I wasn't like, no, it's only for me. You know, like when the Centaur was like, yeah, there's really nowhere for me to stay because I'm a horseman. Can I camp out here with you? I was like, yeah. I wasn't like, no, go away, I'm edgy. It was like, I'm more comfortable out in the woods because I'm an Outlander, monk, ranger character. But like, yeah, it's always nice to share the campfire with somebody.
It's like in a current campaign that I'm in, I am playing the idea came from me wanting to try playing a Lawful Evil character. And I feel like he works pretty well with the party in their own odd dynamic. But something that I've talked to some people where a lot of people are super against something like having an evil character. But I can see where it can be all right, because at the end of the day, they're still people and they'll still have their own vices. So yeah, his thing that's kind of funny, a lot of the players are okay with it. Characters, that's like a different thing. But his whole thing is he's technically an Azamar. He is a follower of Tiamat in this setting where Tiamat is a dying
from
god.
The video.
That's that guy. Yes,
it's that guy. Cool.
Oh, I already gave this explanation, but yeah.
Everybody, by the way, quick plug. Everybody go check out Mariosack on YouTube. He's got I think 5 videos, and the latest one is a D&D story about the very character that he's talking about right now. So you should find him and sub to him on YouTube now.
Thank you.
All right, continue.
But so there's a fun thing with the fact that he's becoming more and more draconic, and recently he's again gotten more of this dragon kind of essence to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this weird draconic greed as well. And a way that I, from the get-go, have seen the party, in his view, he likes his party. He does enjoy having his party around, and he does try to go out of his way to protect some party members more than others, but he does care about certain party members. But the reason why is because he views them as his. They are his possession. In his mind, they are his little set, and there's some party members that were there from the start, and he's more protective of them over the others, mostly because he feels a bit of disgrace in not being able to take care of those that have already fallen. But on top of that, in his mind, he looks at them and he's like, well, these are the last remaining few of my complete set. I can't get rid of these. I need these.
Yeah. I've talked about the idea of evil on my podcast before, and actually we talked about this yesterday on Tall Tales. People, another plug. If y'all know a Runesmith, Logan, who's actually next up on the docket for Podcasts and Players, which is exciting. He does Tall Tales. Tall Tales is sometimes mostly like a D&D sort of improv thing that he does, but for Halloween, we just kind of hung out and talked about shit.
It's actually because of Logan that I started animating.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he talked me into it because he told me... We're talking about just general stuff like how we're doing and stuff, and he kind of pitched the idea to me where he was like, you should start a YouTube channel. And I was like, I've thought about it, but I don't know. I have like some video ideas, and it was like, I think my issue that I had when I wanted to start off was I was stressing over making a really good video, like something like really impressive as my first video. And Logan was like, why don't you try animating something? Because my original thought would have been like, oh, I'll do like this, I DM games, I have good ideas. I'll do something on like blank, and I'll cover some stuff. Maybe I'll do some cool art for it and have that on in the background. And Logan was like, why don't you try animating something? Like, try animating something like small and, just try to make videos that could be easier to output and see how that goes for you. And I was like, I guess I could try that. And we were just kind of talking about it for a bit, and I settled on this idea where I was like, okay, I'm going to tell it to you so that you can be somebody that's like aware, and I'll feel more obligated to finish this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself 1 week. I'm going to have 1 whole week to try to make a video and release it. And I'm going to focus on that. And after I said that, and he was like, yeah, go for it, dude. I, the next day, released a video because I was up really late because I just thought, what could be a good video? And it just sprang in my mind a really dumb idea. And that's where 3 Orc Brothers happened. And I just ad-libbed a script in Audacity, or not even a script. I just started talking in Audacity. And I was like, I'm going to animate this. This is going to be a thing now. And
I think, honestly, that was a very good... I thought it was like from something at first. Like you were animating somebody else's clip or something. I really like... I think my favorite Orc Brother is Chifungus.
Oh, yeah.
Or just Fungus,
yeah,
but I think
fungus.
Full name is Chifungus. There's a ch in the beginning, Chifungus.
Yeah, because there was a dumb joke where I was thinking, I think I said, I'm trying to remember the 3 Orc Brother names. It was Ungus, Bungus, and Fungus. And when I said Ungus, Bungus, I almost said Chungus. And
yeah.
And I was like, well, I can't. What?
And you did the silhouette, and then it disappeared and did the. It was very good. I was like, oh no.
I aimed my goal for that video, and after that, like every video after after that. Even with the one that I'm working on right now, I kind of don't have this idea of my audience is me. If I can make myself laugh and I can watch that video multiple times and still laugh to myself or smirk to myself about really stupid things that I said, I consider that a success. I can be happy with that. I can be like, you know what? My goal has been achieved. I amused myself. Anyways, on to the next project.
Yeah. That's the end goal anyway. You got to make stuff for you at the end of the day. I want to touch on one thing because we got on a very good tangent, but I don't want to abandon this other thing about the idea of evil characters in a campaign. Evil, like we were talking about, is selfishness. Mm-hmm. And being selfish doesn't mean you're a megalomaniacal maniac who wants to destroy the world or something.
You don't eat puppies.
Like when people play
kick children.
Yeah, like a chaotic evil character might think it's really fun to destroy shit, like vandalize things and like steal stuff and betray and do all that stuff, right? Like they might think that these things are enjoyable or preferable for them. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean they don't know how to work together with other characters.
Oh, yeah.
It just means that they're not the most trustworthy people, and maybe they're a bit of a problem in that there's collateral damage wherever they go, right? Ooh, so I've told someone else this before, but I'll mention it again. There's a movie called Seven Psychopaths with Colin Farrell. Oh, wow. Two actors in this I can't remember. Colin Farrell's the main one. Sam Rockwell? Is that... He's the guy that played Hammer from Hammer Industries in the second Iron Man movie. He was the bad guy in that. He was like the other like CEO. And then I think it's Sam Rockwell. And then what the fuck is his name? Christopher Walken.
Oh, yeah.
And so the idea is Colin Farrell is writing a screenplay about seven psychopaths, but he's like struggling to find inspiration. So what does his friend Sam Rockwell do? Well, he decides that he's going to don a mask and become a serial killer so that he can inspire his friend to write a better script. If that's not chaotic evil, I don't know what is, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, Hitler had a dog, right? Hitler loved his dog. It's not like he wasn't capable of loving a thing, right? But like Hitler also looked at an entire race and religion of people and was like, we could do without them. That's pretty evil, right? He's not evil because he loved his dog. He's evil because of the other thing.
Yes.
So like Sam Rockwell's character is a chaotic evil, like incarnate character where he does all this crazy shit. He kills people. He blows things up. He lies to his friend, but when his friend's like, what the fuck? You're a serial killer? He's like, I just wanted you to write a better script. I love you, man. You're my friend. Like,
that's horrible. That's so, what immense guilt to throw on someone.
Right. Well, I mean, by the end of it, they had pissed off a mob boss played by Woody Harrelson. So it was sort of like out of their hands at that point. They had to work together. But like,
and that's the party.
Yeah, exactly. That's the party. That's the point. Like, he's a great example of like, that's an evil character, but he's not trying to rule the world. He's a murder hobo who likes his friends a lot and will do very bad, evil things on their behalf.
I love you, man. I'm gonna kill that shopkeep and I'm gonna get you the adamantine armor.
Yeah, don't worry. He's the bad influence. He's the dude that gives you like, dude, where did you get this, like, fucking, watch? It's like, well, I saw you eyeing it before, so I killed the owner and I stole the watch for you. Here you go,
babe.
This is stolen goods. I'm gonna get fucking arrested. No, it's fine.
I'll get arrested.
It's hot
I'll
for
take
a bit,
the blow. But actually, we should probably just leave town. That'd probably be a better idea. They're coming now, so let...
Yeah, that's the thing. Evil can be... It just means you're willing to go...
the distance.
To bad like lengths to do things. So lawful evil, by contrast, right? Viewing the group as like your pawns or your possessions or something like that is, I mean, that also is a very evil thing. I would say that's either lawful or chaotic. What makes it like lawful is like if you actually like keep your word and stuff like that, and you like make deals, and you'll honor those deals.
So literally something that happened in our last session is we got an option for a wish, like some fey creature. We completed some trial for them, and well, not a trial, but we completed a task for them, and the fey creature, keeping their word, was just like, all right, I'm gonna grant you all a wish. Some I can do, some might be harder, kind of thing. And one guy asked for a scroll of true resurrection, and at one point before that, when they were asking us like what possible wishes we might have, my character wanted to bring somebody back that they had lost. He actually, long time ago, early start of our campaign, he had purchased someone to accompany him and try to teach them the ways of his religion and kind of bring that about, as he wasn't originally like a draconic person, so his thought process was, well, if I teach somebody else, the same process might happen to them. And he had someone with him, and he was basically kind of trying to show the power of Tiamat to them. And at some point, he kind of had this idea where they grew trust with each other, and his whole thought was, as long as you're with me, by Tiamat's will, you'll be under my protection. And that character died in combat. We weren't able to revive them, and he felt immense guilt for that. One, because he kind of used Tiamat as like a thing of, oh, it's like her, through her I will protect you. And he failed at that. So he almost got a chance to become even further draconic. But instead he swapped out that wish for, no, actually get me one of those scrolls. I'm going to bring this person back. That's a thing of, he wants to right that wrong because he does feel guilty about that. It's almost like trying to, he wasn't able to keep his word, and he wants to fix it. And he's been very good on that.
Yeah.
He might twist words in certain ways. I know at the start of the campaign, he caused the accidental death of 2 guardsmen. And the way it happened was, a lot of people had never seen monstrous race creatures in the area. So when my character rears his head out of a cart and starts talking, a guy freaks out. He screams monster. There are these guys over this wall with muskets ready to fire at us. And my character thinks, okay, these guys are 30 feet away from the carriage that we're in. They're going to alert those guards. I can attack twice. I can run 40 feet. I run 40 feet. I knock out both of the guards. Before I'm able to knock out the guards, the first guy gets knocked out. As he goes with his maul to swing at the second guy, the guy screams loudly before getting silenced. People over the gate hear it, and the DM is saying, okay, these guys are preparing these muskets. What are you going to do? And I say, I'm going to pick up these 2 bodies, but I'm going to position one over my back and attempt to use it as partial cover. As shots are going out, I feel the splat of the man's head exploding as a stray bullet hits him. And my character just runs to the cart, drops an unconscious man in the cart and a dead man in the cart, and he goes, they killed one of them. I can't believe this.
I can't believe you've done this.
I can't believe this. And when the guard, it escalates rapidly, and my character ends up attempting to abduct people to explain the actual situation from his perspective. And it just makes things worse. Eventually, the guard come out to try to deal with us and arrest us. And when the town official kind of guard steps out to apprehend us, and he's like, "You've killed... I think that there were more accidental deaths that were also by the guards. And my character's like, I didn't kill anybody. It was all you. You did this. I was merely trying to stop any further bloodshed, and you guys are the ones that you opened fire on me. If I didn't stop them, you would have shot us anyways. And it's just his own dumb, twisted logic. It's just, from his perspective, he's right.
From my perspective, the Jedi are evil.
I didn't break any laws. Right. It was you.
Exactly. I mean,
corrupt.
I mean, there's also the fact that a lot of lawful institutions are not necessarily all good. And like,
yes.
You can have multiple enemies that are enemies of each other, and they're all not great and do bad things. And like, grimdark worlds are known for that, where everyone fucking sucks and nobody's a good guy, right? And so like, you'll see a lot of like moral gray type stuff in those types of settings, or any sort of like horror campaign too. You're gonna see that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we accept that. Like, I think personally, it's a bit boring when the whole party is just all really good people, unless their goodness comes from like intense like suffering or something. Like, they've been through a lot, and they are good in defiance of a status quo that is explicitly evil, right? Like, if the world is, like, ruled by kingdoms of good and law, and the king isn't a bad guy, he's a good guy who wants to stop the bad evil demon army.
Just a generous soul.
And you're playing a lawful good paladin in that world, boring. So boring.
Yeah.
But if you're playing in a world where the king's a corrupt tyrant, but he's the only bastion of civilization against a horrible, violent wilderness, and with like criminals and witches and all sorts of things that are like fucking shit up and doing terrible, awful things to innocent people who some might not even be innocent because they're so despondent with the life and the lot that they've been given that they do awful things as well. And like, in defiance of that, you are good. You try, like, that's interesting because you're a juxtaposition for the status quo at that point.
Yes.
And so like, seeing a party of good people trying to be heroes in a world that doesn't believe in heroes, that doesn't believe that people can do the right thing, and that when it comes down to it, everyone's corruptible and everyone will choose themselves over others, feels good. Those are really good.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good way to have like a lot of good people at a party. But if you're just playing like a typical fantasy world and everyone's just good, it's like,
Yeah.
Okay.
There's something I really enjoy to do is I tend to go more towards monstrous races. And the reason why is because I feel like something that adds that fun little spice sometimes, especially in that same context, is when my character can still be a good person and still try to do the right thing, even though he faces discrimination from people who might just view him as a monster. Like, one of my favorite races to play is Minotaur, and I've had that in campaigns where people are spooked by this character, this massive bestial man. It's like, if you're just some guy from some village, you've never seen a goblin or anything of the sort before, and this thing to you just walks in, it's scary. You're gonna treat them differently. There's gonna be something like uneasy about it. It's like literally a bull in a china shop kind of situation. And I find that really compelling when there's a lot of times that people might be pointing fingers at them, or they'll, like I said, view them as a monster. And I feel like it's cool when that person still has this opinion of, I'm going to still attempt to protect these people or help these people because, they're ignorant, but that doesn't mean that they should die, kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a very compelling narrative too. I like that type of character. I think that it's with a Minotaur, I would probably make that race, if I were the DM, a little more common so that they're not unheard of, because unless you want to be the Minotaur who was like created after Poseidon cursed someone to sleep with a bull, and then he was like a cursed child, like a one-of-a-kind creature.
My favorite interpretation to usually go with Minotaur is the Baphomet route, because there is a lot to play with there, with the fact that they have this demonic origin, because you can have both the monster type of Minotaur that has kind of lost their senses and given in to this very bestial origin, this very monstrous demonic kind of path that Baphomet probably wanted for them. Or you could have one that was able to resist these instinctual kind of urges and able to still tap into that humanity in them.
I guess I feel like that is a trope we see a lot with orcs and Grumsh or Drow and Lolf.
Yeah.
And I see it so often. I'm more like I mean, Minotaur just cow people. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's cool. Just let them be cow people. They don't need to have like a bloodlust if they don't want to. We could have, I mean, Minotaurs, I feel like we haven't really seen them be explored as gentle giants that much, because, I mean, think about cows. They're herbivores, right? Like, they look cool because they have horns, and like male cows like fight for dominance and mates and stuff, but that's like not unusual amongst animals. Like lots of animals do that.
Yeah.
It just, when we see cows do it, it's like they've got horns, so it looks cool. And then there's the Greek origins, which kind of taints it.
Yeah.
But I guess all I'm saying is like, I feel like it's there's no wrong way to play any of these characters, or even really when you're DMing, if you're lore building or world building and you want to use like the kind of the normal, a lot of orcs fall in with Grumsh, but there are orcs that reject that, and that's fine too. I would just advise not making it a racially tied thing and more of a culturally tied thing.
Yeah,
right?
I could see that.
Maybe because like tieflings, for example, they don't just look like devils for no reason. Like Asmodeus fucked around and made a bunch of tieflings, but like he doesn't hold sway over them, and that should be the same with the Drow and with the orcs and with the Minotaurs, where it's like, if you want to tap into your cultural history and be like, my ancestors were followers of Grumsh One Eye or I guess Baphomet for the Minotaurs, and you want to like do that, making it completely a free will thing, I think that makes a little more sense and gives agency back to the character.
Definitely. This is also something that I think a lot when I'm world building for a game or something like that, is the fact that you do always see that overlap a ton in D&D. There's a ton of things just in general that will fill the same roles as other stuff that's already established, which always feels a little annoying. It makes me, not annoying. If anything, it's just, I'm going to have to tweak this if this is going to be in my game, because so-and-so has this character backstory that'll bring up this, but so does this thing. And while they're separate things, they feel very similar, and I don't want it to be too similar.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that could be cool, because then two characters could have this commonality they didn't know about each other, and so they find a camaraderie. You could play it off that way. There's a lot of ways you could do it. I do understand not wanting to step on people's toes. There's an aspect of the story they want to. But like, for example, and we'll end after this because we've reached time 20 minutes ago. But we'll say, like, let's say you're playing a lycanthrope, right? Now, this is a curse, and a curse actually can be a thing that like kind of screws with your free will and, tries to like change your actions, right? The origin of lycanthropy is not clearly stated in D&D. It just exists, and it's kind of a disease, but it's also kind of a curse and like a magical thing that's not like cured by just regular medicine.
I like the idea that it's a fae thing.
Yeah. There's that style of origin as well. and I'm not saying what it is or isn't, because I'm running a game where there is lycanthropy and I don't want to actually spill the beans on what the actual origin is, if in case my players are listening.
Yeah.
But I have a character who's playing a inherited lycanthrope, and the idea of it, like it being a racial thing, a lineage, means that generally people will treat that as like you have more control over it, but it's more obvious that you're a lycanthrope. So like your regular form, you've got like very big hairy eyebrows, or like you're a hairy person or something, or if you're like some other sort of lycanthrope.
That wolfish grin is unsettling.
Yeah, you'll have really sharp canines. You're gonna look almost like a wolf man, except not quite as far. You're just gonna have wolf-like features if we're talking about like a werewolf lycanthrope, right? And then you can apply aspects of that to any other animal lycanthrope as well.
You're a boar. You're kind of porky looking.
Yeah, if you're a boar lycanthrope, but infected lycanthropes usually just look like regular people, and because of the bite or because they received it, they have no control over it, and they're at the whim of whenever the transformation occurs. And so like this is a common trope that I think could also be explored, and you can do curses that are not lycanthropy that still play off the whole bloodlust thing, right? Have you ever played Little Nightmares?
I haven't played it, but I've watched people play it before. It's a very interesting game. I like but yeah, make your. I'm familiar with it.
Yeah,
yes.
it is a good game. The main character of the first game has a peculiar hunger that she is racked with, and only her. She's the only character that's racked with this weird hunger every so often that makes her. It's debilitating. And there's a moment. This is a spoiler, by the way. So if you haven't played Little Nightmares, you can just end the podcast. Go subscribe to Mariosack on YouTube and follow him on Twitter. It's Mario_Sack.
Thank you.
No worries. But so here's a spoiler. In Little Nightmares, turns out the main character ends up eating a creature, like a little guy that was like trying to help her. And she's supposed to be the good guy. You're like, you've been playing as her as a protagonist, and with this hunger, she just fucking kills this dude and eats him. Like, kind of bites into him, drinks his blood or whatever. Kind of like a vampire in a way, right? Another kind of curse. You can have unique sort of curses that aren't necessarily vampirism or lycanthropy that can challenge a character's behaviors and make them act in, like, quote unquote evil ways.
Yeah.
And then make their personal journey, if they want it to be this, the journey to try and get this cured or removed, so they can get back to being good again and not evil. So now they're acting evil, but not by choice, but because it's they've been afflicted with an evil condition, and that's why they're doing it.
And it's not even like necessarily an outright evil condition. It's just more there is this thing that they just can't resist, that hunger.
Oh, sorry, I just remembered. I played Pathfinder recently, and in Pathfinder 2E, dragon sickness was a thing that this king was suffering from as one of the characters' father.
Was it like a greed thing?
Yeah. He had such an amazingly huge hoard that it like turned his skin a sickly green, and he was very greedy and wanted to like keep it all for himself. And I surprised my game master with a spell called Claim Curse, where for 5 minutes I claim all the effects of another person's curse. And because there's no save, because why would you do that to an enemy, right? So like I claimed the king's curse. He became a normal man who, like, almost like as if he was suffering from Alzheimer's, couldn't remember how he'd gotten so old or what had happened, and has an unnatural long life, kind of like a golem type life. Like was failing. He basically was aging rapidly, and like,
oh my god.
I cast the spell twice, and in the 10-minute span that the curse was removed, he died peacefully in his sleep. So we didn't even have to fight him. He was like a really high level spellcaster and could have like TPK'd us. And because I did this, we didn't have to. So for 10 minutes, I had to act like I had dragon sickness. So I'm Scrooge McDucking like into the coins, like money, money, money. You know, like I'm yeah, I'm like I'm doing this whole thing of like, but like also just like how your character looks at your party members as like his own possessions, I'm looking at my party members like they're also mine too. Like I own this horde, I own them. So I turned to Eldritch Sugar actually is in this game, and she plays this rat folk character named Khan. Khan's a rogue, and I turned to Khan like, you're good with alchemical things. You find the potions, organize them here on this table. And then I look over to the monk. I'm like, you find the weapons, organize my weapons for me, and I will look at the jewels. And I'm like, basically, I feel like my character is acting like he just won the lottery, and that this is his like committee, his crew, because he knows that they're not going to steal from him. Obviously not.
Of course not.
Like he's so elated about having this fortune that he's like too excited to even be paranoid about losing it. Especially because after 5 minutes, the spell starts to wear off. He goes, oh wait, we're here for a reason. Shit. And he like runs up the stairs, claims curse again on the king, and goes, you have 5 minutes, and then runs back to his horde. You know, so like in this sense, like this is it was a very fun moment and a scenario again where a character can act in a way that's not in their nature because of some other thing, and it can be a fun roleplay moment. But anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. I want to call it because it's been about an hour and a half. And I know you've got things to do. I've got things to do. I've already told people where they can find you, but why don't you tell them one more time? Where can people find you, Mario?
You can follow me at Twitter at Mario_Sack, and on YouTube doing animations as just plain old Mariosack. One word.
Hell yes. Find him, sub to him, look out for what he's got coming down the line. Who knows what it'll be? I'm not even sure he knows what it'll be, but I'm sure it'll be great, whatever it is. Well, you did say you were like, just do whatever you like. Oh, yeah, so definitely. Whatever that might turn out to be.
There's always that midway process of, it'd be a lot better if I just did this. Or
Right. Oh, also, Mario and myself are sometimes on the Tall Tales stream, which you can also find online. It is run by Logan Runesmith, who will be on next episode. Don't miss that. Thank you for coming on, Mario. I'm glad to have you here.
Likewise. I'm glad you invited me here.